Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Is Becky Lynch turning heel? I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review of SmackDown, where the show-long storyline was Becky Lynch starting off with an in-ring promo, a great in-ring promo, where she was like, do you want to do it? I can't do an Irish accent.
I prefer it if you did it.
Perisher and Winnipeg's.
Yep.
Two of the words she said. And she said that she hasn't been champion since December 2016.
Or has been in she says a title match since WrestleMania 33, but I'm not sure that's technically true. I think what she meant to say was a one-on-one championship match since WrestleMania 33, which is frankly embarrassing.
Yeah, and she just talks about like how that, it's just not good enough, and she wants the honor to become the champion again. It was such a good promo, and I liked how she weaved the actual storyline that's been bubbling away in the mid-card, the women's mid-card, which is like the undercard. And she wove that into a really passionate story. And all of a sudden, Becky is a really serious contender. It's one of, not a match I'm looking forward to, when it was Carmella versus Becky, but a moment that I'm looking forward to. I'm invested in Becky becoming champion again.
It was a promo that was so good, it actively made me annoyed that they were teasing a heel turn.
Not here.
Well, no, not here, but I meant throughout the show.
Yeah, so we'll carry on. So Renee, this was an in-ring promo, and it started with Renee Young asking. I think she asked one question.
Yep.
Carmella's music hit.
Renee'd away.
Thanos'd off. The click happened, and Carmella comes down, and in fairness to her, also cuts an amazing promo.
This was, again, very frustrating, because this was a wonderfully great promo, but it's, you guessed it, doing a babyface promo and then doing a heel shenanigans. It's like, as soon as she started, I was like, well, but, like just waiting for that moment where she's going to start doing the heel shenanigans. And it was so annoying because this is the most genuine Carmella has ever felt. It didn't feel like she was doing WWE promo. It felt like she was just speaking from the heart. And she talked about the struggle she had in NXT, about how people just said she was only good enough to be a manager, how you would never be on the main roster, and how Becky Lynch was the first female drafted in WWE. And Carmella was like, I wasn't only the last female drafted, I was the last draft overall. It was great stuff. But yeah, it was just there to be like, oh no, I'm actually a heel.
I disagree on two counts there. I thought the most genuine Carmella's ever been in a promo is the night after Money in the Bank, where she cut that awesome I'm here promo.
She did the same thing, really.
No. She just went all fire straight out. Yeah. She didn't do a swerve.
I felt this was really genuine.
But I do... No, because it started with the women's pay-per-view thing. So before she went into all that cool stuff, kind of riffing off Becky's weaving reality and like the last 2 years into her promo, Carmella did it even better with the NXT stuff that you've already mentioned. But she did start off saying, the Women's Evolution pay-per-view is coming up and I want to also upscale myself. And when they started doing that, and then they did the serious promo. You might not have bought into it, but just because they had that evolution bit at the start, I was like, oh, maybe they really are just turning every single female wrestler babyface for the ultimate babyface PR pay-per-view. But yeah, I actually was... there was the part, my mind was always saying, no, it's a swerve, because it is kind of the new big locker room empties pull-apart brawl to have a blonde women's champion start cutting a sincere promo, babyface-wise, and then saying, nah.
Actually, I'm a heel.
Nah.
Psych.
Yeah. But I was buying into it. I was like, is this serious? So, and when James Ellsworth music hit, and it had the Titantron, I was like, oh, okay. So he's not gone, and then it was all a swerve. So I thought it riffed on that template enough for me to think it was very good.
I think it does work, and I think it's a really good thing. I do like the I'm going to cut a sincere babyface promo, and then oops, turns out I'm actually a swerve. I'm a heel. That's fine. It's just that they've done it so much this year already. With Alexa's done it multiple times, and Carmella's done it multiple times. That as soon as she starts, I'm like, I don't buy it anymore. It's when you start doing the distraction finish. You keep doing the distraction finish, it stops meaning anything. And
it's definitely overused. I agree
so
with you
overused,
there.
and it's become a point. It's for me now. It's gotten to a point where it has no effect on me whatsoever. Because as soon as Carmella starts cutting a babyface promo, I don't buy into it because I know where it's going.
Yeah,
and that I find is really disappointing because it can be a really effective tool. Remember when Alexa Bliss did it at Elimination Chamber? We all bought into it.
It was great, yeah.
So good, but then they just kept doing it. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't care anymore.
I think it would be okay if it was part of Alexa Bliss's character, and that was almost a spot that she did in her promos, almost like a catchphrase, but it's a longer drawn-out version. But it's kind of also Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah.
Aha, because SmackDown, like the WWE are writing Carmella like Bliss sometimes, and they should be a bit more distinct.
What I would say, though, is at least with Alexa Bliss, her character is consistent, whereas Carmella's really isn't.
Yeah, but I thought this was a very good segment. I didn't take it against it as much
I thought it
as
was a
you
good
did.
segment, though.
And after Becky is beaten down, Charlotte's music hit.
Yeah.
Former all the champions, like the top, really WWE in their minds, WWE's top female performer, daughter of Ric Flair, and she came down. And I was like, oh yeah, she was gone, wasn't she? I didn't miss her a great deal.
No, I haven't missed her a massive amount.
No.
But it's nice to see her back.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, nice to see her back and pushed straight to the top right off the bat.
Well,
I mean, like on the WrestleTalk fan chat Discord that we've got, a lot of people are just like, cool, so she is the female Roman Reigns then.
And someone pointed out very acutely that we would hate Charlotte if she never turned heel. She had that really long heel run against Sasha Banks, and because that's kind of gotten out of our system, I'm not like, oh no, it's Charlotte in the same way that I am about Roman Reigns. So it really shows that turning someone heel, going down that avenue, and then turning them babyface again is very effective.
Yes.
And they should do it for Reigns, broken record. So Charlotte fights off Carmella, and she poses with Becky Lynch, and then Carmella goes backstage. We kind of this was throughout the night, but we're lumping it all into one show-long review bit here. And Paige is on the phone, because that's what you do as a general manager.
Probably on the phone to cut Angle.
Yeah. And Carmella comes in and she's complaining like, oh my God, look, Charlotte's back. And Paige says, well, I'm disappointed with you, Carmella. I'll show you how to be a real champion by booking a match where if Charlotte beats you tonight, she'll also get added to the match at SummerSlam. It'll be a 3-way.
Yeah, Paige essentially said that it was like, I really bought into your promo. And I was like, well, you're an idiot then, as are you, obviously. I wrote in my notes here as well, when Charlotte saved Becky Lynch, I was like, cool, so the heel turn's coming then.
But from who, though?
From Becky.
Oh, you reckon?
The look on Becky's face, because this is how good Becky Lynch is. Because Becky Lynch, throughout this whole show, was selling this idea that she's going to be turning heel. And it was from that moment, as soon as Charlotte saved her, I was like, this is where the heel turn's going to be coming at some point. That's why I really rate Becky Lynch so much. I thought she was so good at doing it in a really subtle way.
Yeah,
performance was great.
Performance and acting-wise, just delivery of lines. Yeah. Becky Lynch is very, very good. And you said it was because she did take acting classes.
She did to
get better at wrestling promos.
She said that on Austin's podcast that like one of the things she really wants to do was take acting classes. Yeah,
yeah, more people should do. Aiden English, he's another one. He took acting classes, and that shows because he's really good at selling angles and stuff.
Certainly is.
So, yeah, we get another match. So this is 2 weeks in a row where people will beat the champion to face the champion, and the champion has lost both times. Spoiler for what happens in the main event. So it's like, Carmella looks rubbish.
Well, yeah, but isn't she supposed to be rubbish, though?
Well, like you said, it's an inconsistent character.
Because she goes toe to toe with Charlotte in the match as well. Again,
and she has done before.
She kicked out of natural selection and had a near fall of her own. So I think she's credible.
Then the other bits in the night were a promo with Charlotte backstage where she says, hey, I was just here to support my best friend Becky Lynch.
All women are just best friends.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Woo!
Essentially, the women's division in WWE is that bit from In Between, is where friends.
I hate it.
Every single friend,
like
wrestling friends.
You've now got a chance to be in the SummerSlam title match for the women's top title on your brand, and she's talking about, hey, I mean this is really swell, but I was only here to help my best friend Becky Lynch. When really what you should be saying is, my best friend is Becky Lynch, but now I've got this opportunity, and friends they mean a lot. But at the end of the day, it's all about that title. That's the most important thing to me. But they don't do that. The title's like an afterthought. I thought it was really lame, and Charlotte is a bad promo. She's a bad promo when she's not a heel. She's just become so robotic because it's just, and I don't think it's her fault. It's the material that WWE are giving her. She is now this mouthpiece for the women's evolution.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's again, because they were really hammering home this idea that they're best friends. Oh, the best friend of Becky Lynch, the best friend of Charlotte Flair. And it's not me just being like, oh God, I'm so smart, I can see that this heel turn is coming, because everyone can see that this heel turn is coming. But they were just hammering it home at certain times. Becky was trying to be as subtle as she possibly could, but they were just like, nope, best friends, best friends, best friends, just so you know she can turn on her best friends.
I think there is some underlying misogyny here in WWE's
well, of course, every
booking.
single writer is a man, I would imagine.
Yeah. So you've got it's just this idea, not like overt misogyny. It's just that you're a bit lazy when it comes to the women's writing stuff, and that Sasha Banks and Bayley, they're friends. Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. All of these, you get these pairs which really aren't that fleshed out or developed, and it's just, I think it's an underselling of what they should be as characters. It kind of belittles them when you compare it against how the men's division is treated.
Yeah, and it's one step above the way that the women used to be booked, which was just like, oh, I don't like your hair, now let's have a match. Or, I think your makeup is silly, now let's have a match. It really is just one step up from that.
Yeah.
At least it is a step up, though.
Yeah, but then we got a Becky interview just before the main event of Charlotte versus Carmella.
I loved this interview.
Yeah, it was good, because Becky's such a good promo and such a good actor. It
was so good as well, because essentially Renee, as a journalist, which I think she is supposed to be, was trying to get to have her answer the question, are you happy for Charlotte Flair being in this match and having this opportunity to be in the SummerSlam match? And Becky just kept skirting around and just being like, yep, look, I'm happy that Charlotte is back. And just sort of, it was so a diplomatical, political way of answering a question. You know, when you watch BBC Breakfast and a news reporter will ask a politician a question and they will answer it, but not actually answer it. That's what Becky was doing here, and it was really, really good.
Watch a Triple H conference call, and when he answers some stuff, it's that same art of ducking. Yeah. But he says, so Renee says, so are you against Charlotte tonight at the end of this? And Becky says, I'm never against my best friend. And then she walks off.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, the words say you're not against your best friend.
Yeah.
But the angry face and your body language kind of said to me, you're annoyed here.
I was going to say.
Which is great. That's a great dramatic tension thing.
Yeah, and you want to talk about angry faces. Oh, she had an angry face at the end of this show.
Yeah. So then we got Charlotte versus Carmella in the main event. And Renee she talks to Carmella again backstage before the match.
Another promo mania. SmackDown was.
Yeah, and Becky's watching this match backstage at a skew angle, which didn't get the full on actually way someone watches a TV treatment. And Carmella and Charlotte have a match. It's nice to see Charlotte back. She certainly missed doing those moonsaults because she did about 3 here. Yeah. Moonsault to the outside. Moonsault off the barricade. Moonsault onto some knees.
Moonsault for you. Moonsault for you. Yeah, it was a match. It wasn't a particularly great match. And again, it winds me up because it's the inconsistent character with Carmella going toe to toe. As I said, she kicked out of natural selection. And the commentators were just like, no one kicks out of natural selection. It's a move that puts almost everyone away. So she kicks out of that. She gets a near fall of her own. And then she taps out to the figure eight. And Becky looked very unhappy about it.
Yeah, watching backstage.
Yeah.
I just thought Carmella looked so unimpressive
as champion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
amazing to go toe to toe with Charlotte and yet come out looking unimpressive.
It's so Charlotte. The storyline here is Charlotte has just turned up and she's got a title shot.
Yeah.
And now Becky, who has been on this 1.5 year long fight to get back to that point, she's had everything, but Charlotte just turns up and gets it. So there feels like a heel turn are coming.
But a justified heel turn. Because that's kind of to your point there, because she has been on this 18-month journey to get to this point, and Charlotte's just walked in and just be like, cool, now I get the same shot that you do. So that is a justified heel turn for Becky to be like, look, no, F this. Like, I'm trying so hard, but you guys keep screwing me around. And I think heels work best when they are justified in their heel turns. And they are like, look, this is a reason why I've turned heel. That I really like about it. But... And heel turns have worked well for people. Nakamura had his career almost revitalized in WWE through a heel turn. Sami Zayn's career has been better since his heel turn. But when you look at how good Becky Lynch is a babyface, do you think, like, God, do you know what she needs? A bloody heel turn. And it just seems like counterproductive when someone, like, the crowd are so behind Becky Lynch. You almost want to do a heel turn when the crowds don't care anymore, and you do that to revitalize the character. But you don't need that with Becky, because the crowd are already into her as a babyface.
Has she ever been a heel?
Yes, she was a heel in NXT for a bit. She was teaming with Sasha Banks. I think it was those two together against Charlotte and Bayley. It was when I think Charlotte first turned babyface in NXT. My memory's a little bit hazy, but I'm almost certain it was Sasha and Becky.
But babyface for a long old time.
Yeah, well, since she's been on the main roster, has been nothing but babyface, and that's like 3 or 4 years at this point. But my guess is the way they're going with this is that Charlotte's going to win the title at SummerSlam. And you do Charlotte Carmella again at the September show, and you do heel Becky versus Charlotte at Evolution.
That's a shame if you think that's true, because I think if Becky is turning heel, she needs to win the title.
Or you do the deal of like, so Charlotte wins the belt, and you do the Becky Lynch heel turn at SummerSlam. So you got that big hot angle at SummerSlam, and then after that, Paige suspends her, gets her out, so she's off TV for a little bit of time. That gets you off TV until after the September show, and then she can come back and reignite the feud leading into October.
I don't really like that.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm a fan of it. I'm just saying that's where I feel that they're going.
I think there is a way, and I really, really hope that WWE stick with Becky as a babyface, because like you said, that the organic support is there. And if Becky can... I think there is a way for Becky to come out and spin this as a babyface. It's like, look, I've fought. You've been handed everything your life, Charlotte. And then Charlotte just has a little character tweak and is like, yeah, so what? And then Charlotte starts healing it up. I just come back. I get handed everything. I'm the queen. Charlotte's so much better as a heel, in my opinion. I think she's bland as a babyface.
It's like Sasha Banks.
Yeah, and then they can... That is such a good dynamic. A babyface Becky against a monster heel Charlotte, effectively. That's a great storyline. But I was looking at the Evolution poster. Who have we got on it? Alexa Bliss, blonde. Ronda Rousey, blonde. And Charlotte, blonde.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all going to be prominently featured.
I was going to say, I mean, because Charlotte is, as you said, like she's their female Roman Reigns. She's the one that, aside on SmackDown, they really want to build the division around her. Same way on Raw, they want to build the division around Ronda Rousey, so you can then have that Ronda Rousey-Charlotte match at Mania next year. So the two figureheads of their divisions can collide together on the grandest stage of them all. So in that respect, you kind of have to keep Charlotte babyface. Or... I mean, and this might be a bit outfield. This might be a little bit sort of like, going zigging when we might want to zag and going really out of bounds. But what if they feud for a long time, go nowhere, and then become a tag team?
Yes, now you're talking.
Yeah, maybe
that sounds narratively satisfying.
Doesn't it just? Maybe bring Dr. Shelby back for a week. Oh,
I like it.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, I personally, that the seeds are there for Becky to turn heel. Which makes me think, if you said, Ollie, give me a prediction, I think it was too overt. And Becky is going to stay a babyface and Charlotte's going to turn heel. And I really, because that's the money program. And SmackDown at the moment tends to make the right decisions when it comes to who should be, Rusev is now transitioning to that babyface role too.
Is
he? Yeah, I think.
Going by today's segments, no.
He seemed okay.
But Lana was like, because he didn't want to go out with Lana.
And Lana he's just grumpy off the back of last week. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's my prediction. Hope, maybe it's more hope than anything.
I'm with you. I hope that's the way, that this is all just one big swerve to make us think that Becky is turning heel, but actually it's going to be Charlotte that turns heel, because as you said, that makes more sense on paper. But I mean, perhaps I'm Pritcharding this, but I just feel like that they want to keep Charlotte a babyface because she's the daughter of Ric Flair. I actually saw someone on Reddit today saying, like, they're going to give her the 17 title wins. They're going to do it before they do it to Cena. I was like,
by the end of the year.
Yeah, I was like, I could really see them doing that. So I really feel like they're going to be keeping Charlotte's babyface. It's a SmackDown review, Michael. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Like we already said, SmackDown kicked off with that Becky Lynch promo in the ring with Renee Young. And then, I don't know if you got it on your feed,
Samoa Joe looking scary.
just Samoa Joe looking at me. I was like, is this a promo? Just Samoa Joe staring intently down the camera for 15 seconds, blank backdrop. I was like, what is this? Is everyone else seeing this?
It was
is he coming to get me?
very scary. I loved it.
And then that was it. And then they cut to an Usos promo. It was just, Samoa Joe's doing something later on. Here he is staring directly into your soul. I was on Reddit and someone reposted something with the caption, "The last time Brock Lesnar cared about a feud." And it was the night after Great Balls of Fire last July. And it was that segment where you had Reigns, Lesnar and Paul Heyman and Kurt Angle in the ring sort of setting up the SummerSlam build. And then Samoa Joe comes out, the night after he lost. Do you remember it? The fire between them was crazy. Because Brock's just like, I beat you, son. And you want this? You got a problem? And Joe's like Brock starts mouthing off to Reigns. And Joe just goes, you look at me when I'm talking to you.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
It was so cool.
Loved that.
And then at the end of it, Reigns just, because Samoa Joe says, I've got your number. That's why Paul Heyman doesn't want me facing you again to Brock. And Roman just goes, You got his number, have you? And it's like, when everyone's making really funny jokes when you're out, and then this one guy's trying to say something, and then he says it, and just killed the mood. That was Roman Reigns that night. Anyway, then we got Usos walking along backstage promo.
Our second promo of the evening.
Really good, though.
It was awesome. I've missed the Usos cutting promos. They've got their own style of doing promos. It doesn't feel like a WWE thing. They're in a completely different backdrop to everyone else. They're walking towards the camera. Love their presentation. Yeah. Big fan of the Usos.
The camera is slightly down, so it's looking up at them, and it's tracking with them, and then they walk past it, and it pans. It's really, really aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
It's the complete opposite end of their words appear that Usos locked down. Chung. Then we got the Paige Carmella stuff backstage. Then we got the best match easily on the show.
Well, there was only 3 of them, and this was far and away better than the other 2.
It went a decent amount of time.
Yeah, really good.
It was the second, I guess the semi-finals.
Yes.
Of a 4-team tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even call that the semi-finals?
No, it's just first round.
First round,
then final.
Yeah, the pre-finals. And it was the Bar taking on the Usos.
God, it's good to have the Bar back. Really, really good to have the Bar back.
I didn't know. Talking about Charlotte, Charlotte's back. And when the Bar came back last week, it was similar, the Bar's back. But when Charlotte wrestled, I was still like, Charlotte does moonsaults. Yeah, he does. But when the Bar wrestled, I was like, this is why. Yeah. They're so good. Cesaro, uppercut more people.
It was so good. I can't say my favourite moment of this match, because actually the match was my favourite moment of this match. But there was a bit at the start of this that really made me laugh. So the Bar and Usos make their entrance, and they're about to start this match. New Day's music hits. And the commentators all go like, oh my God, the New Day are here. And Saxon's like, oh, what a pleasant surprise this is. The New Day are coming out. And they're like, why are the New Day out here? And the New Day come down, they're dancing down to the ring. They dance past the announcer's desk, and there is a giant orange announcer's desk stacked with pancakes. And the commentator's like, oh, I guess they're out here to do commentary. I was like, who did you think was coming out to cut commentary? It's a giant orange desk. It made everyone look like a complete moron.
Yeah, really lacking credibility.
Yeah.
Just if how else would you have done it? I really like it when the viewer learns stuff as things are revealed on TV. Just think of it if it happened this way. You've got JR on commentary, back when he cared about stuff and he wasn't so grumpy. He would go, as this match has started, well, next to us, ladies and gentlemen, is a commentary table done up with pancakes. I wonder who that can be. Mm-hmm. I think we can expect something happening in a bit. And then, but boom, they come out and you're like, that doesn't ruin anything.
But when you've got Todd Phillips, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton go like, I wonder why they're out here. I wonder what they could be doing. It just made everyone look like an idiot. But ignoring that, and they did cut to them doing, because they essentially did their own commentary, which they kind of sort of faded in and faded out, which was quite funny. But this match was great. The 4 guys just worked together so well, and it was all about double team reversals. It was like, so the bar set up to do the assisted air raid crash that they do, the Finley driver, as we've since renamed
White
it.
noise, whatever it's called.
And as Cesaro leaped off, in comes Jimmy with a super kick to lay him out. It looked so good. And then the bar tried to do... they get super kicked out of air. And then the Usos tried to do their big splash, their double big splash.
This is near the finish.
Exactly. And as, I believe it was Jay came off the top rope, Cesaro, out of nowhere, boom, with an uppercut and just took him out. And then Jimmy landed on Sheamus's knees. He rolled him up and got the win. I thought it was a really, really great finish and a really, really good match.
There was a great Cesaro near... it was like Sheamus was being pinned. It was from an Uso kick, and then they set up the splash, and I was like, oh, here's the finish then. But Cesaro broke up that 3 count right at the end, and I was genuinely like, whoa!
Yeah.
Now this match is really good. And just before that, they had one of the Usos diving to the outside, intended for Cesaro, but Sheamus pushes Cesaro out the way and takes the brunt himself. I just, like, heels can be friends, and that was a really nice dynamic.
It's tag team chemistry, and that's why I think tag teams should always look good together. It's one of the reasons, like, I mean, someone left a comment yesterday on the YouTube video, and I couldn't understand why we like the Revival, because they look really unathletic. And I was like, but they feel like a tag team. When they wrestle like a tag team. They know what each other is doing. They can read each other's minds. And that's why I like the Bar as well. The Bar are there to try and... They need to save each other in order to get the best out of this. And I thought it was really great stuff.
It's crazy that I really love the Bar too. I really love Sheamus. Always have done. I've always been a big Sheamus fan. Love Cesaro. Love their matches. I like their presentation. But to me...
You want to see them as singles.
They're always Cesaro and Sheamus. I've never once been like, even though they're so slick as a tag team, they could not do anything more. In my head, they're Cesaro and Sheamus. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, man, I don't know what more they could do, really.
You're like, they're the Bar now.
They're the Bar now, yeah. I think it's because it's been so long as well. Like when they were first put together, you're like, well, that's 2 singles guys. But now they just feel like I can't remember the last time that they had sort of like singles feuds. God, it was a number of years ago, but I couldn't have told you what those feuds were previously.
It was with each other.
Apart from the one where they had with each other, the best of 12 series, whatever it was.
The best of the rest of the year series.
I got to see one of them because they'd mistimed them, and they had to do one of them at that random house show they did.
But this was a really good match, and it sets up the Bar versus the New Day for next week. Really looking forward to that. I hope it gets a lot of time. Do you know... I mean... The usual logic would dictate New Day winning. They're the babyface team, take on the heel Bludgeon Brothers at SummerSlam. But I think the Bar are at that level where they could just be, like similar to how the Usos were last year when they were heels, but they were transitioning into that we're just badass tweeners. Mm-hmm. But nothing they do is cheat. They used to cheat, but now they don't cheat. I think the Bar... I would prefer to see the Bar versus Bludgeon Brothers, because to me that's a fresh match.
Well, I mean, the way that SmackDown is going at the moment, it'll end up being a triple threat match. And
Good point.
I wonder if they're going to have, because the Bludgeon Brothers have been cutting these promos every week saying, like, it doesn't matter who's going to win, a bludgeoning is coming. I wonder if the Bludgeon Brothers are just going to come out, destroy all 4 men, and then they'll announce it as a triple threat match for SummerSlam. And that'll be our third, because the United States Championship is going to be a triple threat. The Women's Championship is a triple threat. Let's just have another one, man. Why not add another person into the WWE Championship match while we're at it?
Multi-Man-a-mania. You don't need to book anything.
Everyone's got to get on the card, man. Everyone's got to get their payday.
If that's the case, though, I see maybe the Bar being able to pin the New Day in that match. Bludgeon Brothers are protected. They lose the titles.
Yeah.
I think that's like a triple threat that I would be behind.
Yes.
Because I think, I just want to see the Usos, New Day, Bar, Bludgeon Brothers combination as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Oh, particularly that triangle without the Bludgeon
really
Brothers.
Telling as well that you didn't mention Sanity in that.
Who? Gallows and Anderson too, of course. Then we got the Charlotte promo backstage. Then we got a Samoa Joe promo.
God, this was good. I loved this so much.
Yeah, okay, so Joe comes out, he gets a boy band stool, where it's just like a high bar stool that he just perches his keister on.
Well, that's because you got to stand up for the final chorus, stand up for the key change.
And, it was a nice, different presentation, and of course, Joe's delivery is always excellent. The content of this promo, I felt was not a misstep, it was just... like I didn't really connect with me.
Really, okay, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I thought that this was the best promo of the evening, and I thought this was the best.
Better than Carmella and Becky Lynch's.
Yes, yeah, hands down. I loved everything about this because the content of Joe's promo essentially was putting over how important the WWE Championship is, and putting over AJ Styles, and saying, like, you know what you have done? You have made this championship the most prestigious championship in this company. You are head and shoulders above everyone else. You have spent so much time making this title relevant and worthwhile.
No problem with that. That's good.
That you haven't been spending any time with your family. And it's because AJ is a family man, and it's a way of just working into AJ, playing those mind games with him and saying, like, hey, while you're there being like, you know, your family don't know who you are anymore. And I loved the line when he said, at SummerSlam, the entire crowd is going to be behind you winning, but your family is going to be behind Samoa Joe winning, because at least when I'm WWE champion, they'll get their father and husband back. I thought it was a really, really nice wrinkle, and a really interesting way to do this feud as well, playing into AJ being a family man and Joe being this master manipulator. They actually called him the Samoan submission machine as well. So I thought this was wonderful. I thought this was great stuff.
You make me like it more than I did. I didn't hate it. I just was a bit like left cold by it, because I don't feel like AJ's been built up as this family man. When I think of
his promo from last week,
I know, yeah, like, oh yeah, we just did that last week, so we can do this. I feel like that's a bit rushed. If you ask me what AJ's character is, I'm like, he's a hothead. He thinks he's the best wrestler in the world, and he often backs that up. But sometimes his emotions get the better of him. I never think he's a family man. That's Bobby Lashley's gimmick. So when Samoa Joe suddenly starts saying all this, I'm like, oh, okay, like, sure he is. He did say that, like, AJ cut that promo last week that supports that. But it's a little bit flimsy for me, because I don't feel like it's been effectively foreshadowed enough.
I think that's a completely fair point. What I would say, though, is that him being a hothead, that was the Nakamura feud. Like, that's done now. So now we're moving on to a different character for AJ Styles.
Right. Is that what it is?
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah. And also, just like, doesn't Samoa Joe have the same amount of time away from his family?
Yeah, but logic, man.
I didn't.
Yeah, but he's not a champion. He's not spending all of his time making it prestigious.
When you think AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and when you said it there, the mind games aspect of it, that's cool. But and I guess we're still 3 weeks out. But this didn't leave me hot in the slightest. But I didn't hate it.
I thought it was a nice wrinkle to the feud.
And next week we'll get AJ Styles' reply, so I don't know, maybe we can talk about
how much he loves his kids.
Yeah,
he's got their birthdays tattooed on his ribs.
And what do we have next, Luke?
Another promo. So this is what, our fourth promo?
It's our third promo in a row, and the fifth promo of the night. So we've only had one wrestling match so far.
So a fifth promo of the evening. Jeff Hardy came out for a promo, and he said that the US title was more than a title to him. It was his fifth eye.
Did he say fifth?
Yeah, and I was like, what? What are you on about?
I've written down third. I must have just auto-corrected in my head.
He may well have said third. I thought he said fifth, and I was like, wait, what? Your fifth? And then the weird thing is with Jeff Hardy, when he said the fifth, I was like, yeah, that sounds like the sort of nonsense you'd say. So I just went with it. I could have gone back and checked.
It's my life force. It's firing in my synapses. I love the US title, but first I'm gonna get revenge. Woo!
Yeah, he wants to get revenge on Randy Orton. Orton comes out, but from out of nowhere, Nakamura attacks Styles, Hardy from behind, and he gets into the corner, he sets up to do the Kinshasa, and good lord did I love this moment. Randy Orton just walks in the way of it and just staring at him, and Nakamura's backing off. He's not sure what to do, because you don't know what this Randy Orton's going to do, because he's unhinged, he's unpredictable, and he's there and he's sort of backing off a little bit, and Randy Orton just looks at Jeff Hardy and he steps aside and just goes, away you go. And he runs and he hits the Kinshasa, and as soon as he hits the Kinshasa, like, right, I'm out of here, because
he stands up again, and Orton's in his face again.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm out of here, and he leaves like a prone Jeff Hardy for Randy Orton to continue his vicious attack, and he sets up for the RKO. Crowd are going nuts.
He's like Ultimate Warrior it up, isn't he?
He's playing it up like he used to with his arms in there. He spins round like a transformer, sets up to do it, and then nope. double leg, just stomp down, and then does the Garvin stomp around, draping DDTs, does 2 of those, and then he throws
off the apron to the outside,
and then he sets him up on a table, and he just starts, and he rips off his t-shirt, and he rips off his armbands, rips off his necklace, and then he starts wiping the faceplate, reducing Jeff Hardy down to his most basic level. I thought this was excellent.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It just had such an old school wrestling feel. Where it's something just like the ear thing last week. Was that like 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And the removing of the face paint. Like, I could hear a few people in the crowd going,
yeah, that's it. As soon as he turn off the t-shirt, nothing. Necklace, nothing. But as soon as you start watching the face paint, I was like, oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I can't believe you did that.
It's weird how things like that emotionally connect. And I think there was a shot a few segments beforehand of just Jeff putting his face paint on. Very little moment, but I think that really helped make this more impactful here. It's a really fascinating dynamic. You've got this crazed anime villain in Nakamura. I'm loving Randy Orton back being a heel.
Man,
he's so good at it.
Yeah.
And then you've got Jeff as well, who's actually like, you know what? And I very rarely say this. I could do with a heel versus heel match here. I'd like Orton versus Nakamura.
At SummerSlam rather than the triple threat.
Yeah, maybe that to me feels like a B pay-per-view.
I was going to say, you want your Jeff Hardy in there because he's one to get his revenge now on both lads, because Nakamura hit him with the Kinshasa. Randy Orton's been laying him out week after week. He wants to get revenge on both guys and win back his 5th eye. You know, he's got to do all he can to win this.
Poor guy's only got 4.
How's he seeing anything?
Yeah, maybe he's just got glasses, and that's what he's gotten confused. The only heel versus heel dynamic I've liked of recent times was Adam Cole and Marty Scurll. I thought they had a great match last year at Ring of Honor. But yeah, like I wouldn't mind at all if this turned into a heel Orton versus heel Nakamura for the US title at whatever the September pay-per-view is. Yeah. Then we got... What did we get?
We got another promo.
Whoa.
We got Becky Lynch backstage. We talked about it earlier.
That's Connect 4 if you're counting.
Jeez, man. So, as I said, it was promo mania. Then we got some wrestling on this show. But what wrestling did we get?
Zelina Vega's in-ring debut on the main roster.
Zelina Vega versus Lana in a match that I think went about 3 or 4 minutes and yet still had a commercial break. Oh, dearie me. And it wasn't great. Anyway, Almas got on the ring. English ran down, knocked him off. That distracted Lana. Vega with a roll-up pin. Means nothing. Nowhere. No one gets anything.
I disagree.
What, do you think that Zelina Vega is now going to be in line for a championship match?
That's not what this was about.
I know. I'm being facetious. But it was there to further the Aiden English, Rusev, and Lana dynamic.
This was an angle.
Yes, this
wasn't. You can't treat it as a match.
This was another promo segment, more or less.
Effectively.
And and so Aiden accidentally costs Lana the match, and then backstage, Aiden's like, "I'm sorry, I did this," and Lana's like, "Dude, just go away. You have to get your damn Aiden." And then Rusev's like, you can hear Rusev going like, "Aiden!" And he just charges up, and he's like, "I'm out of here." He runs away. Rusev comes up, and he's like, "He's a dink. Like, he cost you that match." And Lana was like, "I needed you. Like, where were you? I know you've got your own issues about what's best for Rusev Day, but I needed you at my side." Great stuff. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. So you think this is a heel thing for Rusev?
I didn't say it was a heel thing, but you said he's slowly turning babyface. This didn't feel like a babyface moment for Rusev.
No, but it's definitely not a heel moment.
No, but it also felt like a babyface moment for Lana, who I think has been a babyface anyway. I'm not entirely sure.
She's certainly American. There was full-on American accent, no Russian there. I've written here in my notes, because the other part was that Andrade came out with Vega, and of course Lana was by herself in the match,
doing all of her breakdancing.
Yeah, Vega did a tranquilo pose, or I'm saying this wrong apparently. Tranquilo, yeah. Tranquilo. I think I'm Quilo.
Yeah, you're actually pronouncing the Q and U.
Tranquilo,
like a bloody Brit.
And Lana does a little weird pose thing of her own, and then I've written that they have a commercial break, like you said.
Yeah.
And those poor people in the arena.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a Lana Vega rest hold right there.
I know, and just think, and this is the second wrestling match on this show, and this was well into the second hour as well. It's almost like old WCW Nitro episodes when I had a 3-hour show and there was no wrestling in the first hour. Yeah. It felt bad for the audience.
Yeah, but I liked it as an angle, and I like the stuff afterwards. I think the whole Rusev Day dynamic is interesting. You've got, no one's like being an out-and-out heel. No one's being an out-and-out babyface. It's just three people who are kind of falling out, trying to sometimes make amends with it. Like, English was trying to make amends with Lana. Rusev was trying to make amends with Lana, but Rusev and English are angry with each other. Lana's angry with... It's a really... Yeah, it's a nice faction dynamic, which I hope they actually all end up going, let's just get back together and defeat whoever.
Well, maybe it could, I mean, I'm trying to think of who they could team up against. Now, the only people I could think of would be the Usos and Naomi. Then I suddenly thought, where's Naomi been?
Yeah, this is a break. They had a dance moment. She needs to come out and glow it up. Then we got the Bludgeon Brother promo we've already talked about.
Yep.
And then our final bit of the show, because we've already done Charlotte and Carmella in the main event, is a corking Daniel Bryan and Miz promo.
Yeah,
Another promo.
Another promo of the evening. He came up, so our fourth in-ring promo segment of the night. He put over Evolution. Because of course he did.
Because his wife Brie was in one of those 30-second matches that everyone got annoyed with and tweeted, give Divas a chance.
Yep.
I mean, what a fascinating way to spin your company's own ineptitude.
Here is how
this is now a positive.
Here is how I would almost describe this. I am someone who is in a position of power, and one of my directives is I'm just going to punch kids in the face. Right? Bear with me with this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say everyone is allowed to punch kids in the face. And then a lot of people say, like, mate, punching kids is really bad. And then so I then write a directive and go like, yeah, punching kids is horrible. You should stop punching kids. And then everyone goes like, God, you're good.
Yeah.
God, you're such a hero.
Yeah, you're well done for promoting not to punch kids.
Yeah, I'm the hero in this situation because I made a difference. I made a change.
Of course, that's the extreme end of this anecdote.
Yeah.
Or analogy, rather. So Bryan comes out, he gets the mandatory evolution plug out of the way.
Yeah.
And then he turns his focus on Miz. He says, he did the thing I hate, here's what happened last week, where he cues up the production truck. It makes the whole thing really contrived as an in-ring promo. And he says he wants to fight the Miz now. I want to fight you right now. And then the Miz appears on the Titantron, but he's not here.
Miz is on set, I'm doing big air quotes for podcast listeners, of Miz and Mrs. Mate, you are not fooling anyone with this on-set lark. With these two security guards there, it basically was Kurt Angle's office.
Yeah, just a basic backdrop.
So rubbish.
And Miz just cuts this great promo about how, we're not in gyms anymore, like, for your indie shows, and Bryan calls him a coward. The story was, Bryan is saying, I just want to fight you, and Miz is saying, stop riding on my coattails.
Yeah.
Like, I'm past you. Let it go, man.
I made you relevant 2 years ago on Talking Smack.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to be, stop trying to ride my, as you said, ride my coattails. I love this. And he even said the line, just let your contract expire so you can go back to entertaining, and I love this, entertaining dozens of people in high school gyms. That's a money line.
Yeah. And it's that really good thing, what started this whole feud, of weaving reality. Like, we know Daniel Bryan's contract expires in September.
We know, the larger audience doesn't know.
But it's still, like, it's not one of those things that isolates the larger audience.
No, it does not.
It's just like Miz did with Enzo Amore last year, and that was, a bit of a mess of a promo and the whole being thrown off the tour bus stuff. But this worked perfectly because it's a really nice nugget for us, but then for the larger people, it's just like, oh, that's an interesting bit of the story. And that Bryan got his own badass comebacks as well, because he was like, you're never going to be big in Hollywood, Miz. It's been done already by better men. You're never going to be The Rock. And that's like, Rock and Miz idolizes The Rock. You're never going to be John Cena. You're not even going to be John Cena, he said. Like, being John Cena is
rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be being good, I suppose. But
it's
then,
a shame he didn't bring up the WrestleMania match where those three men were involved, yeah.
I thought this was really great, but it was so undermined by its end. I thought the end of this sucked a big one. I thought this was awful, awful nonsense.
Yeah, so Miz, after all this great realism, and it was just like two guys doing a work shoot on each other to build a match. Like, you didn't need anything more. And this, you're 3 weeks out. And it made me forget the over-the-top stuff they did last week with the Miz and Miz premiere, the baby chucking to Daniel Bryan. Wasn't a fan of that at all. So you've got all this good realism stuff in the promo here, and then at the end,
WWE slammed the brakes on.
Yeah, Miz goes, just in case this wasn't obvious enough, Miz says, when anyone looks at you, all they're going to hear is this. And it's a shot of a baby replaces him and an annoying baby crying noise, and that duplicates and it keeps on duplicating.
And they tell two friends, and they tell two friends,
Yeah.
and so on, and so on.
And it's just got loads of pictures of babies crying. And then it cuts back to Miz and he goes, wah, wah, wah. So, just a really crap ending.
And that was the end of the segment. Bryan had no retort to that. And it was just Bryan just standing there looking like a complete doof.
And again, it's my really big bugbear about Bryan or anyone in the ring queuing up footage to recap to people. That should be the announcer's job. It's like, so this isn't real, this says to me. So
Yeah.
Miz has pre-planned, told the production truck to queue up those images, play them like that, make the baby crying. That makes... If Miz has done that, it's lame. And if he hasn't done that, it's fake. And you just had all this nice realism stuff going on.
It was a real shame. I said in the review, I thought it was a really rubbish ending to what could have been a great segment. Yeah, it was a real shame.
Just not a great segment, but a very, very good segment. And that's all you need at this point. We're still 3 weeks away from SummerSlam. And you do the harder stuff as you build up to it, to build anticipation. But so now we're in a point where Bryan has finally challenged Miz to a match at SummerSlam. And Miz has said no. So how is Bryan going to get that match? I'm interested to see.
Yes.
But that baby stuff did absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah.
It's almost a shame that the previous week's segment happened as well.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't good. In retrospect, it really wasn't good.
And I think we might have said this last week. This is such an easy feud to get right because you've got like 10 years worth of stuff to build on, and you've got all the stuff from the Talking Smack onwards. You've got so much stuff that you can build this around. Like they did with the promo. The content of this promo was all built around that 10 years worth of stuff. What you don't need is Miz throwing a fake baby at Daniel Bryan. You don't need Miz doing baby noises up on the screen. Like that's the stuff this feud doesn't need. I think I said this in the news last week, where it's like you can almost guarantee that the Miz is going to make this. My TV show gets really good ratings, like your TV show doesn't. And I'm like, that's not what this feud needs. It doesn't need that sort of nonsense. It just needs to be built around realism, because they have got something real they can build on here. And it's, oh man, I don't want it to be turned into a WWE feud.
Yeah. And what is more fake? As like when you said the line there, I just was like, man, that is... I would be embarrassed to say that to someone who doesn't watch wrestling. Throwing a fake baby at someone. What? And a serious wrestling feud, not the broken hearted.
Did you see SmackDown last week? Miz put loads of babies up on a screen with a baby crying sound. Oh man, it made Daniel Bryan look like such an idiot.
Who thought that was a good idea? Like it really makes me... Like I usually I think it's loads of people in WWE who are trying to do a good product and then they're sort of hampered by top level management. How does that baby stuff get in there? It really makes me doubt everyone's competence in that company.
Well, okay,
like Miz should say no, Bryan should say no. Why aren't people stopping this from happening?
So, as a story, I was listening to a podcast. They actually did a podcast talking about this quite recently, and you said who signed off on this? It was Vince, surely. Like Vince probably heard this. Pritchard has said this before, where he said like sometimes you regret saying things because as soon as you say it and Vince hears it, he's like, that's what we're doing, and you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that because I was just throwing ideas out and into the ether. Actually, they were talking about a spot on a SmackDown episode in 2001 where Jericho was cutting a promo on Stephanie, and all of a sudden he brings out the Planet of the Apes from Tim Burton's remake, and they come out and they throw a pie in Stephanie McMahon's face. And Jericho has said, like, it was such a stupid angle. It made absolutely no sense. Why were the apes there? But apparently, according to Jericho, it's the hardest he's ever heard Vince laugh. Like, Vince thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And it just screams to me one of those things that someone suggested it, and he was like, that's going to be amazing. Put that on TV.
So, I think this was I agree pretty much wholeheartedly with your review, that this was all very good, like all very effective segments.
Yeah.
Overall, there wasn't enough wrestling for me. Really enjoyed the Bar Usos match, though. I would give this a smack bang in the middle.
Yeah, I gave it a high smack bang in the middle, like a 3.5 out of 5, because, as I said in the review, individually, I thought this stuff was great. But the other thing I mentioned in the review that I wanted to mention here as well is the real kicker for me in this is that you didn't have to do all of this on this week's show. Like that Hardy Orton stuff, could have done that next week. And instead, you could have just had Orton in a squash match against a lower card guy, say a Ty Dillinger or someone like that. Ty Dillinger steps up and says, like, look, I really don't agree with what you did to Jeff Hardy the other week. Let's go and have a match in the ring. Orton just squashes him very quickly and then beats him up viciously around ringside. That continues the Orton dynamic, and then you can save the Hardy stuff for next week. And that also gives you a match and an angle, rather than just doing promo, 3-minute match with an ad break, promo.
Yeah.
It really was an unbalanced show. It's difficult to get the balance of promo and matches right in a 2-hour format, but this was very unbalanced.
I don't think it's difficult. I think you commit to 3 to 4 matches that get between 5 to 15 minutes each, and a couple of in-ring promo segments.
Difficult's
the
wrong
backstage bits.
Difficult's the wrong word. It's a fine art to get it. But
I'm sure there's a pie chart somewhere. There's some good Excel spreadsheets to work this out.
But I thought
as
this
a
was
science.
it's too promo heavy. Individually, I liked all the components, but together, it was an average show overall.
Well, hopefully this show was a little bit better than average, but not too good. We're just consistently. And that's all we've got time for today, so click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome videos, and this button right here, which will subscribe you to the beautiful iTunes podcast version, which is completely free and has its own intros and outros that are exclusive to the audio format. I'm Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.